What if the weakest member of the Straw Hat Pirates suddenly gained the power of a literal god? Imagine if the greedy cat burglar Nami did not just manipulate the weather, but became the storm itself. Today we are exploring a timeline where Nami eats Enel's devil fruit and completely shatters the power balance of the crew. If you want to see how this completely changes the fate of the Straw Hats all the way to a shocking showdown in Wano, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The golden bell rings across the sky. Luffy delivers the final crushing blow to Enel. But in this timeline, the impact is too much. Enel's golden ship plummets to the White Sea below and crashes violently. The self-proclaimed god is dead. While the rest of the crew is celebrating and recovering, Nami does what she does best. She sneaks into the wreckage to loot whatever gold she can carry. Hidden beneath the shiny rubble, she spots it. A bizarre spiky yellow fruit. Thinking it might fetch a high price on the blue sea, she picks it up. But an overwhelming sense of curiosity and pure exhaustion takes over. She takes one small bite. The taste is absolutely vile, but before she can spit it out, a massive surge of electricity violently courses through her veins. Her eyes glow white, sparks dance across her fingertips. The navigator has just inherited the power of the Rumble fruit. But having the power of a god is one thing. Knowing how to use it without killing your own friends is another. Nami returns to the crew, keeping her new ability a secret at first. She is terrified. If she sneezes, she might accidentally fry Chopper. But as they descend back to the blue sea, she secretly begins testing her limits. She quickly discovers a major problem though. Every time she channels a large amount of voltage, her regular everyday clothes start to singe and completely catch fire. Being a practical thinker and a bit of a fashion icon, she digs into the bags of Skypiea loot they just stole and pieces together a brand new outfit specifically designed for her new abilities. She pairs a light white halter top with a flowing teal skirt made from incredibly heat-resistant cloud fabrics found only on the Sky Islands. To top it off, she adds gold metallic belts to the outfit. Since gold is an absolutely perfect electrical conductor, these shiny new accessories actually help her direct and focus the raw lightning, without burning her wardrobe to ash. Wearing her new godly attire, she finally realizes just how much her physical body has changed. She is completely intangible. Zoro accidentally swings a sword near her on the deck, and the solid steel blade passes right through her shoulder, leaving nothing but a trail of bright, harmless sparks. Stray bullets would melt into liquid lead before even touching her skin. The cowardly trio just lost its founding member because Nami, with her new powers and tactical outfit, is now practically invincible. It is at this exact moment that Zoro stops dead in his tracks, staring in absolute shock at the Phantom Navigator. Nami realizes she can no longer hide this massive secret from her family. She calls for an emergency crew meeting right there on the grassy deck of the Going Merry. As everyone gathers around still processing what they just saw, Nami takes a deep breath and simply raises her right index finger. A blinding crackle of yellow lightning arcs across the main mast and dances harmlessly across her palm. The reaction is absolutely priceless. Sanji immediately swoons over his breathtaking new goddess of thunder, while Usopp and Chopper drop to the floor screaming in pure terror, experiencing massive flashbacks of Enel's horrifying judgment. Luffy, on the other hand, just gets giant glowing stars in his eyes, jumping up and down, shouting about how unbelievably cool his navigator is. Nami gives them a confident smirk and finally confesses that she ate the strange spiky fruit she looted from the golden ruins of the upper yard. The Straw Hat Pirates just stare in absolute disbelief, finally realizing that their beloved treasure-hunting cat burglar is now packing the devastating firepower of a literal weapon of mass destruction. When they arrive at Water 7, the dynamic shifts. The heartbreaking fight with Usopp still happens because her new powers cannot fix the crumbling Going Merry, or Usopp's deep-rooted insecurities. Power cannot heal a broken heart. At Eni's lobby, Nami does not need the climb attack to create basic illusions anymore. She is the lightning. When Khalifa tries to use her soap bubble powers to smooth out Nami's strength, the navigator simply sighs. With a single snap of her fingers, a massive thunderbolt vaporizes the soapy water and blasts Khalifa through 3 solid walls. The fight is over in seconds. As the Buster Call begins, Nami steps up to protect her family. She summons thunderclouds so massive they eclipse the entire island of Justice. She rains down devastating lightning strikes directly onto the marine battleships. The electricity travels through the ocean water, short-circuiting their cannons and shocking the Marines on board, allowing the crew an incredibly smooth escape. The Marines are terrified. The Straw Hats do not just have a demon child anymore, they have a Tempest. You might think she is unstoppable now, but the Grand Line always finds a way to humble you. On Thriller Bark, her powers are an absolute nightmare for Gecko Moria. Zombies are weak to fire and salt, but getting struck by 100 million volts of electricity turns them to ash instantly. When the Invisible Man Absalom tries to creep up and kidnap her in the bath, his hands touch pure high voltage. He is fried to a crisp before he can even speak. However, when they face Perona, Nami is completely helpless. Lightning cannot burn a ghost. Nami's deep-seated fears of poverty and losing her friends make her an easy target for the negative hollows. She falls to her knees defeated. Just like in the original story, Usopp is the only one who can save the day, proving that raw power is not everything. But reality hits much harder at the Sabaody archipelago. Nami uses her lightning to fry the internal circuits of the pacifistas, making them much easier to defeat for the monster trio. But when Admiral Kizaru and Bartholomew Kuma arrive, her Logia intangibility means absolutely nothing against advanced Haki and Kuma's Paw powers. Despite her desperate attempts to blast Kuma away with a furious lightning dragon, his paws deflect the pure energy effortlessly. The crew is violently separated. Nami is sent flying through the sky weeping bitterly because all the power in the world could not keep her family together. She lands on the sky island of Weatheria. The old wizards there are astonished. They study the weather for a living, but here's a young woman who is literally made of weather. For 2 years, Nami does not just learn the science of the climate. She fuses Weatheria's advanced technology with her Logia abilities. She is no longer just a pirate. She is a true force of nature waiting to be unleashed upon the new world. 2 years later at Sabaody, the air is thick with anticipation. The fake Straw Hats are parading around the archipelago, demanding respect and bullying the locals. But the real navigator has returned, and she has zero patience for cheap imitations. When the fake Luffy tries to threaten her, a single terrifying crack of thunder echoes through the grove. Without even looking back, Nami summons a blinding pillar of lightning that instantly chars the imposters to a crisp. The Marines watching from the shadows are paralyzed with fear. The cowardly cat burglar is gone. The Storm Queen has arrived. As the crew plunges 10,000 meters below the sea into Fishman Island, Nami faces a very unique challenge. Water is an incredible conductor of electricity. If she loses focus, she could easily fry her own crew trapped inside their fragile coating bubble. She has to exercise extreme precision. But when Hody Jones rallies his 100,000-strong Fishman army in the Central Plaza, Nami finally lets loose. She raises her newly upgraded sorcery climb attacks, pointing it toward the artificial sky of the island. The air grows incredibly heavy with static. With a graceful swing, she unleashes a concentrated thunderous shockwave that ripples through the plaza. In the blink of an eye, 50,000 fishmen drop unconscious, foaming at the mouth. Sanji and Zoro just stare in absolute awe. She did not even need Conqueror's Haki to clear the battlefield. She just needed a storm. But the New World does not care about your godly powers. On the burning and freezing island of Punk Hazard, Nami quickly learns that being made of lightning does not mean you cannot suffocate. The treacherous scientist Caesar Clown uses his poisonous gas to cut off her oxygen supply, reminding her that she is still a vulnerable human underneath all that high voltage. However, when she faces Monet, the snow harpy, the fight is completely one-sided. Monet tries to freeze her solid inside an igloo of thick snow, but Nami just smirks. Her body temperature spikes with pure electrical current, instantly melting the snow room into a suffocating sauna. A quick high-voltage discharge point blank to the chest sends the harpy crashing into the frozen ground out cold. The real test comes when the crew is violently split up at Dressrosa. Nami, Sanji, Chopper, and Brook are forced to flee toward the phantom island of Zu on the Thousand Sunny. But suddenly, a massive, horrifying shadow looms over them. It is the Queen Mama Chanter, a colossal flagship belonging to the Emperor Big Mom. Normally, this is a desperate fleeing sequence where the weak trio screams for their lives. But Nami steps up to the stern of the ship, her eyes glowing with a fierce white light. She does not just run. She calls down a colossal bolt of yellow lightning directly onto the enemy ship's mainmast, causing massive explosions and terrifying the enemy crew. This buys them precious time to activate the coup de burst and escape. She is no longer just surviving the New World. She is actively fighting back against the Emperors. You might be wondering what happens when a woman made of pure lightning enters the territory of a Yonko who controls the weather. The whole Cake Island arc is where Nami's powers completely break the scale. During the agonizing fight in the seducing woods against Commander Cracker, Nami does not just use normal rain to soften his impenetrable biscuit armor. She supercharges the rain. Every single raindrop carries a lethal electric shock, instantly frying the biscuit soldiers from the inside out and turning them into crumbling burnt cookies. Luffy barely has to lift a finger to break through the defenses, finishing the job with absolute ease. But the most jaw-dropping moment happens when Big Mom unleashes her personal thundercloud homie Zeus. In the original timeline, Nami tricks him with tasty weather balls. In this timeline, Nami looks up at the massive dark cloud and laughs. She does not need to feed him. She commands him, emitting an overwhelming aura of pure rumble energy. Nami asserts her absolute dominance over the lightning homie. Zeus is terrified but deeply mesmerized by her godly voltage. He realizes she is the true master of the skies. When a starving, enraged Big Mom blindly charges after them on her rampaging chase, Nami merges her own Logia powers with Zeus, creating an apocalyptic thunderstorm. She brings down a strike so catastrophic, so intensely hot that it leaves a massive glass crater in the island. The sheer force of the impact actually forces the indestructible Emperor to her knees for a brief second. The Straw Hats escape, leaving the Big Mom pirates completely utterly stunned at the devastation left behind. Nami has tamed a Yonko's weapon and realized her true devastating potential. But as they finally set sail for the closed-off samurai country of Wano, the dark clouds of war are already gathering. Two mighty emperors are waiting. The beast pirates are ruthless, and the Storm Queen is about to face her absolute greatest challenge yet. The raid on Onigashima begins, and the night sky over the beast pirate stronghold is already choked with dark, unnatural clouds. But when Nami steps onto the frozen, chaotic battlefield, the atmosphere literally bends to her absolute will. The air pressure drops rapidly. The smell of burnt ozone fills the corridors of the Skull Dome. She is no longer just a navigator guiding a ship through the storm. She is the raging tempest walking on 2 feet. As the samurai and the Straw Hats clash with Kaido's army, thousands of low-ranking grunts are instantly vaporized by passive electrical discharges simply by stepping too close to her. But what happens when an untouchable goddess meets a prehistoric beast completely coated in pure brutal armament haki? Deep inside the castle, the Storm Queen comes face to face with Ulti of the Flying Six. In the original timeline, this is where Nami runs for her life, terrified of the thick-skulled dinosaur. But here, the dynamic is wildly different. Ulti, enraged that this orange-haired intruder is casually frying her subordinates' charges forward at terrifying speed. She transforms into her brutal Pachycephalosaurus hybrid form. Nami stands her ground and calmly points her climb attack, shooting a massive concentrated beam of lightning straight at the beast. But the new world is unforgiving. Ulti pushes right through the blinding flash. Her forehead turns pitch black with concentrated armament haki, completely nullifying the intangible nature of the Logia fruit. With a devastating headbutt, the Ulti mortar smashes directly into Nami's stomach. The impact is sickening. For the first time since eating the Rumble fruit, Nami coughs up blood. She is sent flying violently through multiple stone pillars, crashing into the cold, hard floor. Her physical body is still that of a normal human, and taking a haki-infused blow from an ancient Zoan is nearly fatal. Ulti stands over her, laughing sadistically. The dinosaur mocks Luffy, demanding that Nami announce to the entire castle that her captain will never become the Pirate King. This is the exact moment everything changes. The emotional weight of her journey flashes before her eyes. From the desperate days under Arlong to the promise Luffy made to her. Nami slowly stands up, wiping the blood from her chin. Tears are streaming down her face, but not from fear, from pure, unadulterated loyalty. She looks Ulti dead in the eyes and declares with absolute unwavering certainty that Luffy will be the Pirate King. As those words leave her mouth, the entire Skull Dome begins to aggressively shake. Nami is not just relying on a devil fruit anymore. She is combining her genius intellect, her deeply rooted will, and her godly power. She dissolves her physical body into pure raw electricity, completely merging with the surrounding environment. The air inside the room becomes heavily ionized. Ulti suddenly finds it incredibly difficult to breathe as the static electricity makes her muscles violently spasm. Nami reappears hovering high above the ground, her hair standing on end and her eyes glowing like twin stars. She summons Zeus, who eagerly absorbs her immense overflowing energy, expanding into a colossal pitch-black thundercloud that covers the entire ceiling of the dome. Nami does not just strike Ulti. She unleashes a localized Judgment Day. Millions of volts of highly pressurized electricity rain down in a continuous blinding pillar of white light. The attack completely bypasses Ulti's tough outer scales and fries her nervous system from the inside out. The brutal dinosaur drops to the floor completely unconscious, smoking from head to toe. Nami falls to her knees completely exhausted, but incredibly victorious. You would think defeating one of Kaido's strongest officers is the absolute peak of her journey. But the true nightmare is just around the corner. An Emperor scorned never forgets a thief. Suddenly, the wall explodes violently. Big Mom steps through the rubble, her eyes wide with psychotic rage. She has come to reclaim Zeus and completely obliterate the woman who humiliated her on Whole Cake Island. Big Mom summons her brand new homie Hera, a feminine cloud made of pure terrifying lightning, intending to consume Zeus and fry Nami alive. Hera unleashes a devastating shockwave of electricity that tears the floor completely apart. But Big Mom makes one catastrophic miscalculation. You cannot kill the ocean with a cup of water, and you cannot kill the Storm Queen with lightning. Instead of dodging, Nami steps directly into Hera's massive blast. The entire castle holds its breath, expecting the navigator to be instantly incinerated. But as the blinding light fades, Nami is standing there completely unharmed. She breathes in deeply, actually absorbing the terrifying Yonko-level attack into her own body. Her power level skyrockets. She looks up at Big Mom with a fearless, confident smirk. Zeus, seeing Namus' overwhelming dominance, completely rejects Big Mom. He realizes that Nami is the true ultimate source of his power. Big Mom screams in absolute fury, charging forward with her flaming sword, Napoleon completely coated in advanced Conqueror's Haki. Nami knows she cannot survive a direct physical hit from an Emperor. She must act incredibly fast. Utilizing her maximum output, Nami grabs her sorcery Climatact and channels every single ounce of electricity she has absorbed from Hera, from Zeus, and from the entire ambient atmosphere of the floating island. She creates a mirage so flawless that Big Mom's devastating sword slash cuts through nothing but heavily ionized air. In that split second of confusion, Nami appears directly above the Yonko. She points her weapon straight down. She does not shout a fancy attack name. She simply unleashes the accumulated wrath of the heavens. A beam of yellow electricity so unbelievably massive that it completely pierces through the roof of Onigashima, shooting straight up into the stratosphere and illuminating the entire country of Wano. The sheer localized pressure of the strike forces the indestructible Big Mom straight through the floorboard, sending her plummeting deep into the lower levels of the castle, absolutely paralyzed by the godly voltage. This gives Eustace Kid and Trafalgar Law the exact perfect opening they need to begin their final legendary assault on the Emperor. As the raid finally concludes and the morning sun rises over a liberated Wano, the world receives the new bounties. The newspaper reaches every corner of the globe. Her bounty does not just jump, it absolutely skyrockets to over 1 billion berries. She is no longer just the cat burglar. The world government officially recognizes her as the Storm Empress. The weakest member of the cowardly trio has completely rewritten her destiny, becoming one of the most terrifyingly powerful women in the entire world.